We're wrapping up the final day of competition here at the Australian Athletics Championships at the Queen Elizabeth Stadium in Brisbane. I think I've said in about 3 of these wrap-ups now that Lisa Celi had been the happiest chick of the weekend in Australia at about 3 meets now. But we are wrapping up the grand final of the Australian Athletics Tour. And before we get to this weekend, we're going to go all the way back to the State Opens Championships. Lisa, coming in, you were, I think, 61.12 as a PB. If I'd asked you in January this year what your goal was for March this year, what would you have told me?
I would have set a goal, 59.5, but it would have been like a far away goal that you dream of, you don't actually think you're going to get.
You said, I think after an interview at the Sydney Track Classic, that you've had that time on the wall at home for 59.5 for years. How long's that been up there?
It was up there since I was 16, so I'm 22 now, so it was a long time. I really had to, when I was taking it off, really scrub it off.
The time at the heats of State Opens was a PB, a couple of tenths, 60.92, so the first time under 61, and at that point you were stoked.
Yeah, I was. Just to get a PB for me was just brilliant, and then it sort of got better.
Obviously, your junior career was sensational, world school champion in Doha. But how long had it been since you'd run a PB?
Since World School Games in Doha, so that was since I think I was 16 then. So once again, a long time.
Long time out with a back injury, obviously, as well. You came into the final at State Opens. Did you think you could run sub 60? I mean, at that point it was 69.2, you knew PB, you just run that PB.
Yeah.
And if I'd asked you before State Opens final what you thought you could run there?
That race, I had no other time in my mind besides 59. If I didn't come out, with the 59, I don't know what I would have done. So for that race, it was what I wanted. It was everything that I was hoping for. So
59.51, 100th outside that magic wall time. But you went to the Sydney Track Classic, obviously in sensational form, with all that confidence coming out of State Opens.
Mm-hmm.
The Track Classic, obviously, with the American Cassandra Tate, Lauren Wells, who's just won the Australian title here. It must be awesome running against that sort of calibre of opposition.
Yeah, it is. It's really brilliant. Although when you're running with them, they're so far ahead. You're sort of in a little race of your own. But it is great racing against them.
And talk us through that Track Classic race.
So the Track Classic was my first time I was going to run again after I did sub 60. So I was just wanting so much to get that repetition under sub 60. And then before the race, because Sydney Track Classic is just such great atmosphere. So before the race, you're jumping around. It's just fun. So that race was just brilliant when you're running and you can hear people cheering for you everywhere. And you've got the really big runners running ahead of you. It's just, it was such a hyped up race. It's great.
After Sydney, down to Melbourne for the IAAF World Challenge down there. 59.45 you'd run in at Sydney. So, I mean, you were just on a smoking hot string of form. Tell us about the race in Melbourne.
Melbourne was, I didn't get a PB, but I was still happy with the run because I fumbled on a few hurdles. So considering the time that I got, it was still quite good. And it was good to run another interstate race before I came up here to sort of get used to it, which was, it was good.
I think 59.63 in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. I suppose that the pleasing thing for the rest of us was seeing you start to consistently punch out those 59 times. You know, it wasn't a hot, dry, hard track in Sydney to get under that 60-second barrier. But it must have given you confidence that you were now consistently 3 in a row running these sub 60 times.
Yeah, it was. It was just such a good feeling to know that it wasn't just one off. It was every run that I was doing was a good run. So, yeah.
Let's talk about this weekend. So you come up here, the heats on Friday night.
Yep.
Tell us what you were thinking coming into Nationals and what was the ideal result coming out of this weekend?
Coming in, my whole goal of the entire season was I just want a medal at Nationals. And after I did the heat, I think I qualified 5th in Australia for the heats. So I was sort of like, maybe I'll just be happy with a PB. And I didn't get a PB in the heats, but it was kind of like my race in Melbourne, how I got not a PB time. It was still a good time considering that the technique in the race wasn't fantastic. So I was quite G'd up for the final.
A lot of advice from a lot of people between Friday and today.
Yes.
Obviously, you've got the day up here, sitting around, coming down, having a look. How's that wait, that sort of 36-hour wait of hanging around and waiting, nervous energy?
It's so long. You just have to keep, like, I just tried to keep myself occupied. Like, I think I went on a hike to a waterfall, and then I went out to a lookout, and then I came here, and then I made dinner, and then today I was just trying to keep yourself busy so you're not just all thinking about this race, and trying to take the fun out of being up in Brisbane, being in nationals representing state. So, yeah.
And tell us, so you get here this afternoon, we're over there watching Jack Hicking for
Yeah.
Bankstown. Again, you've got the 3 or 4 hours just sort of being around here, waiting for it to happen. Be honest, you've had this magnificent season of PB after PB after PB, and then consolidating sub-60s. What was the goal today in the back of your head that maybe you didn't want to admit to yourself, but what was the goal today?
I didn't really tell anyone beforehand. Every time someone asked me, how you feeling? I was like, fantastic. I was actually quite sore. And I was a little bit nervous just because I knew, the competition was so good. Like, there were so many girls running so fast. And I just wanted to finish the season with a good run, but I was sort of like, just try and get your PB. Like, just try to get that PB, And I tried to do the same thing at that I did at Sydney, at Sydney Track Classic, where I was just only thinking of a PB. I was just trying to only think of 58, even though in my head I was like, will I actually get it? I'll be happy with whatever. And I was even thinking to myself, you know what? Even if I don't run good, even if I don't get a medal or do a PB, this season's been great. So I was in that kind of mindset.
Talk us through the final today, mechanically the start, the middle. You've been talking to Lindsay Watson, who's been timing between the hurdles.
Yeah.
Talk us through the race itself and how it unfolded.
Well, I was in one of the inside lanes, so I had the entire race ahead of me, which was fantastic for me because it meant that at every hurdle I just tried to keep with the girls, and I just tried to never let any hurdle go, because I think that was what I was doing in some other races. I'd sort of let go, like if I did a good hurdle, I'd let go on the third, and I just tried to hold it all the way. And I got sort of to the end, and I knew there was going to be a tailwind behind me. I was hoping for it. So when I got there, I was thinking to myself, this is where I'm hungry. This is where I will try and get, those extra strides in and beat whoever's near me, because that's what I'm hungry for. That's what I want. And as I got to the end, I don't know whether it was wind in my eyes or what, but I just had tears coming down my eyes. I was like, what's happening? And it felt like a really good run, and I was so tired when I came off. I had no idea what I had no idea what my time was. It just felt good.
Yeah.
So.
It was a long wait to find that out, and then
God,
I think you've gone in and get a drink bottle and haven't even seen it come up on the board, but you come back out and you see 58.97 and third in Australia. Describe that moment for us.
Yeah, well, one of the girls screamed, "You came third!" And I was like, "What?" No, I didn't. I just couldn't believe it. I kept asking her, "Are you sure?" She was, "Yes, I'm sure." I'm like, "No, I don't think I did." And then it came up, and I was just so happy. I thought it was going to be a good time, but I didn't think it was going to be a 58. And so, because on my new time on my wall is 58.9. So today I got so close to it, and I was just so happy. I didn't think I would. I thought it was going to be another 6 years until I had to scrub it off. So
I think there's a couple of Sydney uni parties with your name on it in the next few weeks. A bit of a wind down, but sum up the season for us. I mean, obviously, you've been a world champion in the juniors, but it feels to me as if this season may have been even more satisfying than that, given what's happened between then and now, the injuries and some personal, frankly, tragedies in your life. This must just be so satisfying to get back and run well.
That's exactly right. It feels so good to just sort of to come back from a place where I thought I would never ever run again. I would never even go to watch an athletics meet again, because I couldn't. And then to be where I am now, I never thought I'd get here. And it's all thanks to the people who believed in me wholeheartedly when I didn't even believe in myself. So that's my coach, Sam, my parents, my family, just everyone at Bankstown as well. You guys coming up here and just supporting me. It was so good to see you with your camera, even though I hate that you take photos of me when I'm looking my best. It was still so good to see you here as well. So yeah, it's the most brilliant feeling.
We couldn't be prouder of you. Lisa Celi, third place in the Australian Championships, sub 59 seconds. And what a week it's been. Lisa Celi, everyone.